Hello, welcome to part 5 of AQA Biology Paper 2, 2018. Hi, Tia. Okay, so we're just talking about the large amount of untreated sewage water entered the river. Many fish died. Untreated sewage contains organic matter and bacteria. Explain why the fish died. So, the bacteria, do a better B than that. Bacteria decay organic matter, so that's plants, dead fish, okay, things like that, by digestion. Bacteria respires aerobically using oxygen. So aerobically means using oxygen, but we're going to write it explicitly anyway. Okay, this would lower, let's scroll down, this would lower the oxygen levels in the water, so fish have less oxygen, which would cause death of fish. Okay. The scientists want to breed cows that produce milk, so a completely different question. To produce milk with low concentration of fat. Figure 10 shows information about the milk in one group of cows. The cows are all the same type. The number of cows, percentage of fat in milk. So kind of call a normal distribution there. Okay, percentage of milk, number of cows. So we've got in figure 10, the mean percentage of fat in the milk is equal to the modal value. Give the mean percentage of fat in the milk of these cows. Okay, mean percentage is equal to the mode. Okay, so the mode is just understanding what those words mean really here. You don't have to calculate loads of things. The mode is the most common value. So it's 3.7. It says the mean value is equal to it. So it's also 3.7. When you've got 1 mark, it just means read off a graph generally. A student suggested the percentage of fat in milk is controlled by 1 dominant allele and 1 recessive allele. How many phenotypes would this produce? It's just 2. Okay, so one dominant gene and 1 recessive allele. Sorry, it would only produce 2. Okay. Give the evidence from figure 10, which shows the percentage of fat in the milk is controlled by several genes. What's figure 10? All right, okay, so yeah, what it is because that it's not just two values. Okay, so if it was only controlled by 2 genes, it'd be 2 values. A bit like humans when you get blue or brown eyes. Okay, that's controlled by 2 genes, but this has got values in between. So it's not just 2 options there. It's quite difficult to think about that one. So you could say that there's a large range of values, or there's not only 2. So large range of values. Not just 2. Okay. So that means that suggestion is not right, is it? Okay. So one of the genes codes for an enzyme used in fat metabolism. A mutation in this gene causes a reduction in milk fat. The mutation changes 1 amino acid in the enzyme molecule. Explain how a change in 1 amino acid in an enzyme molecule could stop the enzyme working. All right, so think about enzymes as biological catalysts. Let's write that down. That'll help us a bit. So enzymes are biological catalysts that have specifically shaped active sites. If the active site is changed due to a different amino acid, the substrate may no longer fit. Okay, so it won't actually work. Okay. Okay, the scientists found one cow with a mutation. I mean, it sounds like it's got like 6 legs or something, but that a mutation can mean anything. It can be like a subtle change, even like a change in its coat color could be a mutation. So it's not always like in a film or something, 6-leg cow. I'm just thinking about it now. The cow's milk contained only 2.9% fat. Figure 11 shows the percentage of fat in the milk of cattle related to the cow with the mutation. The values for the male cattle are the mean values, and the values for male cattle are the mean values of their female offspring. Okay, because I suppose that they wouldn't know the male because obviously it doesn't produce milk. Okay, figure 11. So let's have a look at the key. Like the round one, female with low fat milk. Square, that's shaded in. Male with female offspring with low fat milk. Female with high fat milk, or male whose female offspring have high fat milk. So because you need obviously a mother and father cow to produce babies. So you've got cow mutation. So this is a mutant cow. With an alphabet, cow mutation. Right, so this is a percentage of fat in the milk. It's not that clear, is it? But that's what it's saying. It's so 2.9% fat. Okay, so got lots of different values. Lots of babies. Let's have a look. But animal 8 is homozygous. The mutation in animal 7 produced a dominant allele for making low-fat milk. Give evidence from figure 11, animal 7 is heterozygous. But animal 8, okay, this one is homozygous. All right, let's put a note next to it. Homozygous. Okay, so it was a male cow. Okay, and this was a female cow. So give evidence of figure 11, animal 7 is heterozygous. Okay, so think about it. So if this was also homozygous, all the offspring would be the same, and they're not. Okay, so not all offspring have low-fat milk. So some high fat, because yeah, there was different ones, some high fat produced. Okay, animal 7 and 8. So 7 was the female cow with the low fat. Animal 8 was a male cow, produced 11 offspring. These offspring produced by in vitro fertilization. The embryos from IVF were transferred into 11 other cows. Suggest why IVF and embryo transfer were used rather than allowing animals 7 and 8 to mate naturally. So what it is because it happens a lot in farm animals and things, because it takes less time. Okay. So it takes less time and more offspring at the same time. It says, draw a Punnett square diagram to show a cross between animals 7 and 8. Identify which offspring produce low fat and which produce high fat milk. Use the symbols DD, dominant for making low fat milk, or D for making high fat. So we said about the male cow was homozygous. Okay, so DD, female, was heterozygous, DD. So let's make a diagram that we usually do. Female, male. Okay, so we had D, 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 so D, 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 D. Okay, so it says which produce high fat milk, so it's these two. Okay. Oh, both it says they're these two. That's 50-50. Okay. Next one. Scientists want to produce a type of cattle that makes large volumes of low-fat milk. The scientists will selectively breed some of the animals in figure 11. Describe how the scientists would do this. Okay, so they want large volumes and low-fat milk. So find female with lowest fat milk and highest milk yield. So, and find, another one, find male whose female offspring of same characteristics have lowest milk fat and highest milk yield. Okay, so we're doing like in vitro fertilization. So cross the best the situation, okay, the best male and female gametes. That's the egg and sperm. To produce embryos. So using IVF and implant these into cows, female cows. So repeat for several generations. Okay, so overall you'd get the best fork yield. Okay, figure 9, so number 9, quite different. Figure 12 shows a ring-tailed lemur. Okay. Table 5, I'll just do it again. Table 5 shows a classification of the ring-tailed lemur. You've got to complete it. Kingdom, phylum. Okay, it goes class, order, family, genus, and then species. Okay, that's 2 marks. Just remembering that. Okay, so use the binomial name, or give the binomial name of the lemur from table 5. So it's a genus and species, so it's lemur cata. Let me just copy it down. Right, lemurs are only found in the island of Madagascar. Madagascar is off the coast of Africa. Scientists think that ancestors of modern lemurs evolved in Africa and reached Madagascar about 50 to 60 million years ago. Today, there are many species of lemur living in Madagascar. Figure 13 shows information about water currents. Okay, so water currents 50 to 60 million years ago are dotted. Water currents today. Okay, so information on water currents. It suggests how ancestors of the modern lemurs reached Madagascar. So we've got water currents, so we're going to use that. So carried by currents in the right direction. Are masses of vegetation, so to float over. Okay. Describe how the ancestors of modern lemurs may have evolved into the species shown in figure 14. So this is the last question of the paper. So we've got species P, species Q, ring-tailed lemur, the ones we're talking about there. Okay, so it's quite handsome. My evolving species shown for the. So this is kind of a general question. So isolation of different populations. So there was variation within the populations. Kind of how anything evolves really, it's not just the lemurs. And there was mutations in each population. Just genetic variation. So those lemurs, in this case, it could be any animals, that were better adapted to survive, live longer, so survive, something like that again. Survive, live longer, and pass their genes to their offspring. So eventually, this led to production of a new species that was genetically distinct from other species. There's only animals within the species can breed to produce fertile offspring. Okay, so that was a species. So a species, yeah, is a population of animals that are genetically similar enough to produce fertile offspring. If you have similar things like a tiger and lion, they can breed, but they don't produce fertile offspring, so not the same species. Okay, so all humans are all the same species, so we can all breed together to produce fertile offspring. Okay, so that's what a species is. So thank you for listening. That's the end of the questions there. So end of questions, that's everything. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you in a future video, and goodbye.